here at Reuters Events Pharma 2024 in Barcelona. My name is Dan Baker. I'm the head of Europe here at Reuters Events Pharma, and today we are joined by Harmony Garges, Chief Medical Officer at ViiV Healthcare. Welcome, Harmony.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, thanks so much for joining us. So I'm going to get straight into the questions.
Sure.
So, as Chief Medical Officer, how would you describe the current medical affairs landscape, and where have you seen the most progress in recent years?
Well, I'm delighted to say I think over the last few years, medical affairs has really stepped into the spotlight. You know, if you look at when the field was started 10, 15 years ago, it was very much a support function. And we've seen this evolution where medical affairs has come into its own independent function, and very much viewed as partners with commercial in terms of working hand in hand with them to deliver the medicines that we want. So I think that's been tremendous progress for medical affairs, and people really recognizing the unique value that we bring in terms of being able to engage with physicians, patients, bring those insights into the company, and then make sure we're developing products that meet the needs of patients, physicians, and payers.
Gotcha. And that's been a common theme, I think. Working closer with commercial has been mentioned quite a few times at the conference, which is fantastic to hear. So, I guess going into the more challenge side of everything, you know, what are some of the wider or bigger challenges that you're seeing at the moment?
I think from a medical affairs perspective, so much is how do we keep up with the volume of data that's coming forward? There's a tremendous amount of research and data being generated, which is incredibly important. And then our job is how do we distill this down, right, and make sure the most impactful data, the most important messages are getting to physicians, getting to our customers, so they can make the best choices for their patients. It's a big challenge, but thankfully now we have some tools that can help us, and I think we'll be talking about that in a minute in terms of digital and some of the other tech innovations that are coming. Yeah,
that leads into my next question. I mean, in terms of maybe on the data side or the technology side, what are you seeing, or is there a particular disruptor that you see is changing the industry or set to change the industry?
Absolutely, and I think it's all around tech and digital, right? Yeah. So how can we leverage the technology that we have, develop tools that our teams need in terms of doing their jobs more efficiently, more effective. And some of that has to do with using things like generative AI, you know, to help us develop content, to help us review content, at least as a first pass. You know, you always need the human element, you always need that independent review and judgment. But I do think there's some technology coming that'll really be disruptive and help us reach more people through digital means and omni-channel, and also do our jobs more efficient and effectively.
Gotcha. And so it might sort of link in with what you've just said, but is there anything in particular that you think that what does it take for pharma to play a key role in the global healthcare ecosystems of tomorrow?
Yeah. So the pharmaceutical industry already contributes significantly to healthcare in terms of research development, bringing new innovative medicines to the world, which is super important. I think moving forward, where we can have an even bigger impact is to start to heavily influence this other part of the ecosystem. So we are doing this already, but how can we play a bigger role with policymakers, with guidelines to really fundamentally change healthcare systems to really enable these innovations that are being brought forward through industry to reach the people who can benefit from them. It's an area, of course, everyone's doing now, but I think there's opportunity to do even more.
Gotcha. And building on that, I mean, you're mentioning sort of, I guess, having bigger more conversations with more stakeholders and growing the ecosystem. And as a leader at ViiV Healthcare, how do we progress? How do we foster, I guess, leadership across organizations, and what does it take?
Boy, how much time do we have to talk about that? But I think maybe two things for us. What we talk about a lot is making sure we're always linking everything that we do to purpose and mission, right? Reminding everyone, why are we here? What's our mission? What are we trying to deliver? And that's just so foundational in terms of grounding people on that. So one is, as leaders, making sure we're always staying focused on the greater good and our purpose and our mission. And I think the second one is making sure we're fostering the right culture. You know, culture is so important, because at the end of the day, companies are only successful because of the people that they have. And when you have a vibrant, healthy, inclusive culture, you will always get more out of that. And then when you link it to purpose and mission, I think that's our secret sauce. So whatever leaders can do really to make sure those two elements are always at the forefront.
And now, fast forwarding to 2030, so 5-6 years from now, where do you see healthcare, and where do you see pharma's role in shaping that future?
So I think in 2030 there will be an even greater focus on the patient-physician partnership. We're seeing that now, right, where patients really are taking ownership and really being involved in the choices in terms of medicines that they're on. Thankfully, in most areas of healthcare now, we have the tools in our hand. We have medicines that work for almost every disease that's out there. And so now it comes down to choice. And we need the patient voice in that, right? So really making sure that patients and physicians are working in partnership for what is best for them. So I really think we're going to see an acceleration in terms of that partnership and what you would call more personalized medicine. And I think the other piece of it is really ramping up that digital technology piece, right? So, you know, the connectivity tools that we have that will really help physicians, whether it's helping track medication adherence or helping to understand in between visits how their patient is doing. You know, they can monitor blood pressures at home, they can be doing different tests like that at home. So I think we're going to see a real advancement in how technology will enable better healthcare monitoring and decisions.
Got you. And last question. If your key message, what would your key message be for attendees here at Pharma 2024?
Oh, I think key message, first of all, thank you to everyone for the work that you're doing in the pharma sector. We are bringing innovation to patients, and that's incredibly exciting and a privilege and an honor. So thank you for the work that you do, and keep up the good fight. You know, we know the pharma industry, certainly R&D, always has advances and setbacks, and we just have to keep pushing, never lose our focus, and know that patients are waiting. So we need to work with pace to deliver the next wave of innovation.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Harmony.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Views expressed in this podcast are those of individuals being interviewed and do not reflect any company, parent company, or affiliates they represent.